Namaskaram to all. We are just in the process of inviting today's guests for the Instagram live chat on the InSync TV.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
So nice to see both of you. And during these difficult times, the artists have had a large issue, but I really look forward to seeing smiling faces on the frame, at least, if not personally. I would start the chat after a little introduction, if you permit me.
Yes.
Well, friends, this is the InSync TV Instagram Live, and we are being followed by hundreds of people who are interested in understanding the finer nuances of classical music. And every week on a Saturday, we have been inviting stalwarts, both from the Hindustani segment and the Carnatic segment, vocal, melody, percussion, and what have you. So, in that series of live chat shows, we have tried to bring out the unknown facets of the stalwarts, and especially so because classical music is a very mystic kind of a music where there's a lot of depth. And the stalwarts who perform on the stage, which you generally the audience and the rasikas see them performing on the stage, understand a little about their music, but they need to understand a lot more about their life, the way they live, the way they think, the way the artistic creative juices flow out of their minds and then executed either through the voice or through the fingers, and how do they do all the magic on the stage. And it almost looks that for that 2-hour concert they must have practiced for 200 hours, but in reality no, it is all there inside, and it just comes out on the stage, and the accompaniments and them together bring out this magic for the next 2 hours, which kind of engulfs you. Now, having said that, I want to tell you that the Hindustani music, unlike Carnatic music, the instrumental music is very highly structured, while the Carnatic music, the vocal and the approach to Carnatic music is very highly structured. But in Hindustani segment, the whole format of approaching music is very different. They don't have the kind of Maya Malavada training going on for 3 years and then you start learning small varnams and kritis. They have the thought system. But as luck would have it, the instrumental music has greatly developed in the north, whether it is sitar or santur or basuri or sarod. They have a very, very structured way to give shape to the alap, jod, jhala, and there is a very, very structured compartments how they bring out their music. And as the audience would see, maybe just 1 or 2 ragas take about 1.5 hours for the entire concert. Whereas in Carnatic music, the approach to evolve, the approach to present music on the stage is very different. The instrumental music in Carnatic more or less follows the vocal pattern, so they actually play the kritis, the compositions that are very the various compositions that enrich the Carnatic music. The instrumental musician also tends to follow the same path, and he would rather have the manodharma within that composition. But there are some musicians in the Carnatic fame who have stepped out of this rigid boundary, and the instrumental musicians, they were bound by this more or less a laid concept, an accepted concept, but they brought new life. And one such stalwart was our great Lalgudi Jayaramanji, who not only accompanied the vocalists of the Carnatic stream, but went far and beyond. He gave a different kind of expression to the raga alapana. He could identify nuances, even when the vocalist may or may not do, but he did that and somehow created a new magic around his playing. And Lalgudi Jayaramanji in his childhood with that tuft behind, they have spent their entire life giving expression to that creative juice that follows in their minds. And he not only played violin, he was also a composer, he was also a singer. So I would say in terms of a 360-degree approach to classical music or Carnatic music, here was one stalwart who really brought it to life. And I'm extremely happy today, my friends, to present before you his 2 children who have not only inherited this great music that the father had, but have carried it even further. And I invite the GJR Krishnan, the son, and Vijayalakshmi. Sorry, there was a little disjoint. So I have great pleasure in inviting Sri GJR Krishnan and Vijayalakshmi ji, the two children of Sri Lalgudi Jayaraman, and who have, like I said, they have not only inherited the great music that their father taught them or took them to, but have even taken it fairly over different, across the oceans. And both of them, in their own rights, have created their space. And today, one of the leading performing artists for violin in the country. And as we go on, we will find out more about how this magic happened and how it happened. But let me start with your childhood, Krishnanji, if you permit. Both of you must have, the family was so regimented, the family was so strict and disciplined in terms of now getting up in the morning, do the sadhana, and then, only then you are offered the milk or coffee or what have you. So the childhood for a normal child would have been filled with mischief and, all kinds of playing around and all that. How was your childhood? Was it different? What would you say?
Yes, Namaskar, Ganesh Kumarji. It is indeed a pleasure to talk to the viewers of InSync who have been breathing and listening to classical music round the clock, and a great service you are doing. The initial years were, as you rightly said, very strict and very regulated, and every minute was very productively spent. It was, say, for example, half an hour of play and some 10 hours of violin playing, and then studies. And my initial school was just 2 blocks away. But my grandfather was very particular that I should go and reach the school only after the first bell rang. So he went to the headmistress and got us a letter saying that he will be admitted into the school only after the first bell. So such strict and care, I should say, so that I spent my time practicing and studying. And again, evening there was some time for playing, and so it was all music and music. He would be teaching some lessons, or my father would be practicing. It is, I think, even while studying, I was listening to a lot of music. So that is
very interesting. And so it was not just the father; it was even the grandfather.
Yes.
Who was driving, who was the taskmaster and ensuring that. Yeah, so the great lineage is something that so lucky to have got, that the entire ecosystem around you, even you during your child, was so filled with music. And I'm sure in your house, with your father being such a popular accompanist, there'll be a lot of great vidwans coming there and, chatting around and doing music and researching music and giving you expressions. So your childhood was kind of engulfed with this kind of a creative thing happening around you. And I can understand maybe the parents expected the son to take on, but they also ensured that the daughter would take on. So Vijayalakshmi, I would like to hear something from you as the opening remarks.
Ganeshji, namaste. You rightly put, definitely it was not that strict and regimented initiation for me, training for me. I was taken very, like I was the pet of the house, pet child, pet girl child. So they were easy on me. My father was a little easy on me, my guru was. But then later, when I was around 8 or 9, I started learning with 2 other students. When I started learning in a group class, I myself became a little serious about my music, what I wanted to learn. There was a lot of competition, and when there is competition, you take yourself very seriously. So the seriousness started there. Slowly, when you grow up, you also realize, understand the greatness of your guru, the greatness of his music, and the greatness of your lineage and the family surroundings that you are in, and you understand what your place is there, what your place is in the family, and you take yourself seriously. And somewhere along the line, the siksha that I was getting also became very serious. The Appa shed all the doting, and he became a very serious, strict guru on me. So.
Excellent. Normally, for a girl child in a Tam family, it would be cutting vegetables and cooking the rice, and this is a normal thing that would happen while the music was happening on one side. But the household chores are something which normally every family and all the musicians, if I can understand, hail from a very middle segment of the society. It's not that they were rich people or aristocratic or what have you. They hailed from the normal background. And many people have this question before I go ahead: what is Lalgudi? Now, this name, this phrase is affixed to both of you. And for the sake of clarity to the people who are listening to this, I want to clarify that Lalgudi is a small place. I don't know whether to call it a village or a town, because it used to be a village, but now I'm told that it has grown big. Yeah. Very close to the temple town of Trichy. Yeah. And this Lalgudi is, if you watch from the Google map, actually when you try to see it from the top, suddenly you find a red patch when you view it from the top. And this red patch became Lalgudi for whatever geological reasons or what have you. So this Lalgudi is a town which produced the great Lalgudi Sri Jayaramanji, and now that phrase goes along with both GJR Krishnanji and Vijayalakshmi. So this village itself, having been so close to Trichy, was so well integrated with classical music, because all the towns around Trichy, the Tanjavur, Kumbakonam, Lalgudi, that entire belt was rich with Carnatic music. And today I must say that we are extremely lucky that we are interviewing two violin stalwarts on a day when we are performing with the Thyagaraja Aradhana. Yes. Today happens to be Bagula Panchami, and we are extremely lucky. I mean, it just happened. I think it's all providence. It's not that it was planned that way, and it's just that Thyagaraja Swami wanted to bless all of us, the artists, me, and the people who are listening to it. And Thyagaraja Swami created a new structure for the Carnatic music. He was the first one when he gave the compositions, and the compositions were quite complicated, but he also gave the swarasthanam of those compositions, and hence, for a learner, it became a lot more easier to produce that extremely complicated structure, because there was a guide around in terms of the notes. So this was a unique concept when the Indian music by and large is not notated. It is more manodharma. But Thyagaraja Swami brought that change, brought that revolutionary change. And today being the Aradhana day, I would like to speak that Thyagaraja Swami created this magic. And this enabled, like today morning I was listening to another interview where they are discussing the manodharma in classical music and how the improvisation happens in Hindustani music. Now, a lot of people have this wrong notion that Carnatic music is very structured, the notes are given, so where is the place for manodharma? Whereas I want to clarify today using this platform that it's not so. The composition gives you the swarasthanas, but within the composition rendering, there are several places which you kind of take out and do your creative inputs. Give your embellishments, the creative embellishments of the kriti, and bring out the beauty of the raga. Yeah. So for Carnatic musician, because in so many ragas, the compositions are already given, you have a much wider canvas to choose from. Yeah. You are able to handle a lot more ragas, very complicated ragas, because they are structured, and you also have adequate opportunity to take on certain areas and elaborate on them and give the embellishment. So for the Hindustani mind, this aspect is missing, because they are more driven by the gharanas, more driven by what is structured within the gharanas. Whereas for a Carnatic musician, the entire world is open. Yeah. So I think it's a great advantage. So Lalgudi ji, I would like you to elaborate on this aspect of developing music, and how does it happen in Carnatic music?
Yeah, it is very interesting question. The patantaram, we call it, the repertoire. It is a very structured, notated compositional form, which is handed over by one guru to his student. Initially, it was Karna Parampara. It was just passed on, and according to the grasping capacity of the student, he would pick up some intricate sangatis, and mediocre one would get away with the basic structure. And even Thyagaraja is said to have composed compositions to suit the needs of the quality of the students. According to the aptitude and grasp of the student, he had composed some his own students, complicated compositions or some simplified versions. While it is so structured, the musician, the artist in you would enthuse you to give life and embellishments. One should never go overboard when doing these embellishments, because the discipline of the Patantara is very important. It is our duty to preserve, because if you infuse lot of manodharma, taking away from the original structure, we are not doing any service, because the composer intended it one way, and we should keep that in mind. And thankfully, there are lyrics also, which also give you an indication as to what the mood, how expressive you can be, how sad or how happy is the way of rendering. So they are all inbuilt guides for you. So the artist in you develops as you learn and you give expression to the compositions. So that is, there is a connect which happens when you render these compositions, and it doesn't happen every time you take it up and play. Sometimes it is so, you are just lifting it to the ethereal level. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but the constant drive should be there with close watch on how far you are going. There should be an internal curb or curtailment to the abandon. There should be abandon, but at the same time there should be a discipline. That's what I feel.
It's all about emotions, how emotive the lyrics are, and how you're able to relate to the lyrics and the sentiments of the composer also. Whenever we approach a kriti, our manodharmam is given scope in relation with how we understand the composer and the composer's sentiments. For example, in Brova Bharama, just the Brova Bharama, it can be sung like this. Brova Bharama, Brova Bar. So the space within which we are doing the improvisation is very minimal. It's a very short space. Then the sangatis have Brova, all those are sangatis. Brova, all those are sangatis. But within the notes, Brova, Bharama, Brova, Bar. So these are all very minute and nuanced changes that we can introduce. And by that, by such introduction and by such emotive expression, we can make it our own patandaram and our way of improvisation. So there is ample scope for keeping our signature with utmost respect and reverence to the composition.
In fact, the highlight of Lalgudi's first playing, if I might say, is he brought that beauty with a serene simplicity.
Yes. Yeah.
He never disturbed the central chord of the bhava of the composer.
Absolutely.
Retaining that bhava, he could bring out the musical embellishments, but without disturbing the core structure of the composition.
Absolutely.
If I may give a very simple analogy for the Rasikas, it's like flying a kite. So the kite is flying with a gay abandon in the sky as a wind, but the thread is held here.
Yeah.
So this is the core. The moment you lose the connect, then the kite might just go and die itself somewhere. So you're holding that central thread and allowing the kite to fly with gay abandon. But when you want to bring it down or make it go up, then you are the controller.
Yeah, that's
so the
true.
artist, while while he is allowing his music to look at various directions, but basically he retains that control in terms of either doing it, overdoing it, or underdoing it. And this beauty, I think the artist keeps in mind the Rasika quotient in front of him. Based on the evolution of the Rasika, if you have a very knowledgeable Rasika in your front, then you may tend to do a little more musicality. But if the Rasika is just enjoying the bhava or enjoying the melody, then you as the master on the stage, you decide to what level you must do and leave it at that. And this, I think, is a very important thing in Carnatic music, that not all concerts are the same. Each concert presents its own different magic because the parameters are very different. The sound quality is very different. The ambience is very different. The Rasika quotient is so different. So each concert, Krishnanji, is a challenge.
Yes.
And the accompaniments are different. But for example, if you do a percussive sangati, for example, and if the accompanying mridangist is able to, go along with you, then it is far more challenging.
Yes.
But in some places, they just play the sarvalagu and leave it to you, and you are only doing the sangati. So this constant shift from melody, percussion, bhava, and the musical creativity is a challenge which Carnatic music is endowed with. Now, from here, I would like to move us to a slightly deeper area. That is, Lalgudi ji was your father, but Lalgudi ji was your guru.
Yeah.
So the difference in the approach to life, because a biological father, like Vijayalakshmi ji said, that she was a pet.
Yes.
So you get a lot of liberty, but when it comes to music, giving liberty is actually counterproductive. You need to be disciplined. So there was always a clash between the relationship of being a father or being a guru. So how did your father and both of you match this so well?
Yeah, I mean, you said it very correctly. He was more of a guru to me than a father. Only in the latter years, the father blossomed out of him. I just like to narrate one incident. We were in Madurai living for a concert, and we were all dressed up, and there's one Mr. Ravi, he came over to pick us up to the Sabha, to take us to the concert hall. And he was also a photographer, so he wanted us to stand for a photograph and we posed. And suddenly, just before the click, Ravi said, "Why don't you put your hand around the shoulder of your son?" To which I was never used to that, because my father was also pleasantly surprised, and the giggle in the photo is still, it's beautiful framed picture which adorns the wall of my drawing room. So it's such a precious expression, because I didn't think I lost anything by having more of the guru and less of the father, because in fact I gained more, I should say. And later on in the last few years, I could see the father. Yeah.
And even if there was some relaxed moments between the father and the daughter, or father and the son, during class and when it was music, we automatically, our mind, our body, everything will be attuned to the class atmosphere, a very serious atmosphere. And we never let that closeness come in the way. Or he also never allowed it to come in the way. Because when I performed, when I started performing with him on stage, it was a completely different scenario. It was a very serious thing, and when I did well, he would not really come up with praising words. He just used to nod and give a smile. That's all. So that was the kind of
That meant a lot.
yes.
That smile meant a lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
that meant a lot. Yes, that was a kind of equation. So the father took a back seat, and it was always the guru that we saw in him.
Well, I must mention here, I had a very, very interesting interaction with him, we had invited him to Fine Arts Society when I was a president, and there was a seminar on string instruments, and he was the chief guest. And it was a very, very interesting interaction because I always thought Lalgudi, where I'm a big stalwart, how do we talk to him? How do we move with him? What would he do? What would he eat? What would he speak? So all these questions. But when we actually saw him, his radiance was so simple. When I say radiance,
Yes.
there is a radiance, but it was so simple that he was a very, very normal human being, and he was, I should say, he was a little on the humorous side. He could kind of, joke around, and I don't know whether it happened within the house, but generally when he was outside, he was fun-loving kind of a person. And I still remember before we actually lost him, I had come to your house, and in the outhouse, I still recall that I was talking to him, and he insisted that the documentary made on him be played. And GJR little reluctant to do because he thought that I was in a hurry, I had to go somewhere. But he insisted, no, you please sit here, you see the documentary, and only then you can go.
Yes.
And I was watching that documentary, I was also watching him alongside. When he was witnessing his own life as it was unfolding on the documentary, he had this childish gleam on his face. And let me tell you, I had tears in my eyes. I said, how those stalwarts, they have lived their life, they have done their best, but yet there is so much to achieve, and they enjoy their own life so much. And here is a man who must have seen the highest point in classical music. He had done all that he could achieve, but yet he was like a child, enjoying the photograph with the tuft and all that, laughing around when the documentary. And that day I realized what it means to be a stalwart, number one, and what it means to be the children of the stalwart. Because you as children have also blossomed in his presence, both as a father and as a guru. So when he turns himself as a guru, I'm sure he must have spoken to you sometimes harshly when you're unable to grasp some sangati or something like that. But as a father, like Krishnan said that when the photographer asked him to put his hand on your shoulder, it must have a magical moment because in our family, there is no physical touch. The parents really don't touch the children.
Yes.
I mean, up to when you are a child, yes, they all cuddle you, they hug you and all that. But as you grow up, unlike in a Punjabi family, where there is a lot of physical connect. Yeah. But in the Punjab family, you are actually kept at a distance.
Yeah.
Now, when the photographer tells the father, the stalwart, to put a hand on his son who's equally a renowned musician by that time, what kind of a magical connect, what would have gone through his mind? And I'm sure we can never fathom what went through, but maybe, they just forget it with a smile on the face. But that second, when he touches you physically, there is some kind of a transfer of energy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That Chaitanya from the stalwart's touch, and that Chaitanya, when it touches you, I'm sure there is a little sparkling about it. Krishnan, I want to speak about that experience.
Which experience? That
what happened to you?
I mean, there's a distance, as you rightly said, which is maintained, but how far is the distance? It is only a cane distance. Because you should be reachable to be whacked when you are erring, when you are doing something wrong. So that distance was always there. And even when we went to concert, and I was more like his shishya. It's not like a father and son traveling. And in fact, those touches, it can be very dramatic now, but it is to be experienced. Rather, it cannot be explained. It is such magical moments, and with each touch comes a boundless amount of blessing. That's what I see. Yeah.
You would like to say something?
No, not really.
Well, I also remember your mother also played an important role. She had to handle 3 children.
Yes.
the father and the two real children, because you all were so busy with tours and constant travel and things like that. So your mother had to hold like a solid rock
Yes.
the house and all that. So what would you like to say about your mother? Was she a very friendly kind of a mother, or she was equally disciplinarian?
Ganeshji, without any
Mincing.
mincing words or overstatement, I should say that she was a legend in her own way. Because she came from a family where she was the favorite of the family, very doted child, and she had to marry into a family which was very strict and with in-laws, sister-in-laws, and parents-in-law, and the husband who was already a star, and she had to really take different roles, like the housewife, the daughter-in-law, and then she had to even manage his calls and take care of the visitors, guests, be his PR, and note down his concerts, and also do all the house chores, like cleaning his when he comes home from one trip and goes to the next travel. Before the next travel, she has to get everything ready, and she used to do all this in such a effortless way and a selfless way. Very selflessly she used to do, without expecting any acknowledgement or she was amazing, and towards the end she became his mother also. I should say that as he was ailing, the way she took care of him, of course Anna and both of them, it was a very poetic relationship, I should say. Yeah.
That's so nice to hear. I mean, a lady plays a very integral role in development of any male, and more so if it's a creative person, because their moods are very different, and they have to constantly travel, and they're always in their own world. They have no connect with the laukikam. They don't know from where the vegetables are bought or how the kitchen runs. They have no connect whatsoever. And in that kind of an atmosphere,
and a beautiful combination of a very strong woman with a kind heart and a beautiful person.
You said it rightly, but it's a poetic kind of a relationship.
Yes.
And your mother might have thought possibly the husband is traveling a stalwart, but now the children also have taken the same route. So I can't enjoy my motherhood with the children also. Did it really happen that way, or was she said, okay, fine, it doesn't matter?
No, she completely supported us in whatever way, in every single way possible. And she used to go beyond her capacity to take care of us and support us.
Okay, now I think we now move on in life. The past is, connect with the great stalwart. You have acquired that repository of knowledge from your father, and then both of you graduated yourself onto an independent platform level. You have performed together several times. You have performed individually several times. You have accompanied several artists. So I would now like to spend a little time on your performance experiences and your connect with international artists, because you brought a new flavor to the Carnatic music by retaining the core values, but at the same time handshake with a different kind of music. And so from that, in turns, maybe we start with Krishnan ji and then go on to Vijayalakshmi ji, your experiences as a concert level performer.
Yeah, it has been a very beautiful journey. The learning has been happening from day one when I started performing with my guru and father in '73. And each opportunity, each concert was a learning experience, and which I carefully assimilated, absorbed, and tried to make it my own. And now I'm giving expression to what I absorbed. So that itself is very beautiful. And I would like to mention here, even when teaching to students, it becomes a sort of experience, because some of the ideas which you come up with would be appearing for the first ever time, and that itself is a revelation, because art is not confined to the concert platform. It is with you for life, when you learn, when you practice, when you teach, when you perform. So it has been such a wonderful experience, and performing Jugalbandis, I have learned a lot. I have learned to play a complementary role and to make the concert a successful one rather than one-upmanship. It is always exploring our music to show the audience, which is common to both Hindustani and Carnatic music, the beauty of each system. So when they are experiencing that, then the music's greatness comes out rather than the musician's greatness. So that is the one balance we have to take whenever we are on a Jugalbandi platform. It is the matching of the minds and exploring the beauty of the music rather than thinking about what to reply to that. So it is of course a healthy competition, Sawal Jawab, but every attempt should be made to retain the identity and bring out the beauty of the. And while accompanying artists, I have learned a lot. I started accompanying, my first concert was with Pitamaha, Dr. Shemamudi Srinivas Iyer, and my father was present. It was on it was in Krishnan Sabha. So I have accompanied several great stalwarts, and not only that, I have performed along with great percussion stalwarts. So each one has contributed. Each one of the experience has added on to my musicianship, and I really look forward to such experiences even now. Yeah. You want to do?
Yeah, when I look back, it's very humbling how music has nurtured me from a performer to an artist, and how slowly I'm going deeper into music. Because when I performed with my father, with my guru, it was all a very planned. He used to tell me, "This is what you should play," and not make any mistakes. And it was a very different, experience on stage with him. And then I joined my brother. There was a little bit of competition, but with a lot of respect for him. And I also learned a lot. And then I also performed trios with my guru and Anna. So as a third violin, it was even more a lot of challenge for me, because even in Kalpanaswarams, after they play, I have to match up to them, and I have to find something new to give. So slowly I grew as a musician, and today it is very humbling, and it is very it's a blessing that we are able to think in our minds the language of music. Like when we play, we don't have to plan anything, and we are able to come up impromptu. We are able to play and be in sync, and even in the creativity, I'm able to match up with him, and I'm able to complement, because his forte is different and my forte is different. My space is different, but we are able to complement each other, respect each other's space, and that is what the audience, the Rasikas, enjoy a lot. And I have also accompanied great musicians, and I started off with Sri O.S. Thyagarajan sir. I have accompanied Arunaji, and Sudha Raghunajan ji, and Vijay Shiva, and Chitravina Ravi Kiranji, and many others. So I'm still accompanying, but of course my mainstay is violin duets, and I have accompanied, and I have given Jugalbandis like Anna also, with my dear friend Kala Ramnath ji, and I have had a US tour performing in 15 cities with her. That was a great experience. So it is every time when you take up a new role, you have to find a new dimension in your music, and as a musician, that's a great thing. I think it's a blessing.
And I just
Well,
want to add, I just want to add on one more thing. It is not to be assumed that one person is elder, so he leads the show. It's not like that. Because work in process happens. Because before the concert, we go through it mentally and in practice. So she would come up with a lot of suggestions, and it is not I mean, we care for the end, the music that should shine. It's not a clash of egos. So when you realize that role, then the music will take over. So she behind the scene, she has contributing a lot, which cannot be assumed by which cannot be known by the listeners. Yes.
well, I would just want to say there is a very thin line between a duet and a jugalbandi.
That's right.
I would rather term your music a duet for the simple reason that your patantaram is similar. You hail from the same family, but within that, you are able to find different expressions.
Yes.
Now, I must recall there was an event which was happening in the Fine Arts Society, and both of you were playing together. And I think Vijayalakshmi ji played, in my personal, please don't mistake me, I think you played that portion a little better. And I was just wondering to myself, what is going to be Lalgudi Krishnan's reaction to that? You know, it's a split second thing. But then he turned at you and gave us such a nice smile. And I realized what it means to have an elder brother.
Yes.
I mean, this is what I'm trying to say. It's not a question of the brother, sister, and those kind of things. It's a question of two artists performing in their own way. So sometimes you are better, sometimes this side is better, but that is what the beauty is all about. Ultimately, the triumph is of the music.
Yeah.
The triumph is not of an individual. The triumph is of the music. And Mandolin Rajesh has joined the chat. So for his sake, I want to say that, you know, we interviewed him on the live chat the 3-4 weeks back. And I said the same thing. I mean, some people take both and they are legends. And maybe for the next 1 or 2 centuries, we won't get an equivalent to that. So Mandolin Srinivas was one such legend who actually took birth with all that creativity. As if, you know, there was a USB port and God put that USB port, transferred all the dollars, and then sent them down.
Yeah.
And Lalgudi was some very similar on the string instrument arena. Lalgudi was a stalwart. I don't know how long will it take the trio, you know, the T.N. Krishnan sir, Lalgudi, Jayaraman sir, and M.S. Gopalakrishnan sir, the 3 big names of the Carnatic violin fraternity. All 3 had different dimensions. While they were all in violin, but each one had their own this thing. And Lalgudi stands out in my personal perception for the simple reason that it was just not violin. It was a lot more about music. And I remember a session which I think Krishnan ji handled about his father's music, where he said Lalgudi ji was walking along and from the tree suddenly one leaf started falling and he halted everyone and he said, "Oh, what a beautiful musical expression that was." Because I'm now sitting in my nice garden in my house and I see a lot of leaves. Whenever I see a leaf falling now, I remember that.
Yeah, okay.
A musician enjoys nature.
Correct.
How a musician enjoys the creations of God. And even in that small movements of nature, how one sees music. Like in the sunrise, you see music. In the sunset, you see music. The trees, you see music. The way the wind blows, you see music. So this greatness of a human mind to enjoy everything that is happening around them and convert that into musical ideas.
Yes.
So this is a great, it is not just what your guru has taught you or your father has taught you, but then you as an individual creative person, you start deriving ideas. You start innovating from everything that is happening around you. I don't want to name, but I found one other big stalwart. He had invited me for lunch, and his wife unwittingly made some, you know, a little noise with the patram. You know, it happens in South Indian kitchen. And, you know, I was wondering how he is going to react to that. You know, one patram fell and it kind of on the பகவத்கீதை பஜகோவிந்தம் மஜகோவிந்தம் அந்த டுக்ரிங் கரணை இருக்கு அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு சவுண்ட். So I was wondering what is he going to do, and he converted that into a musical phrase. The way it happened, he converted that into so it was, they are very mischievous. These stalwarts are extremely mischievous.
Yes.
Because their mind is constantly working to look at something very new. And I must tell you that your father had that innate ability to draw from nature, from creation. And this is very strongly reflected even in the dance movements which he has presented. He has presented several, and you continue to do that. Now he has presented several dance, ballet, opera, whatever, and he has converted that into movements. And this is the greatness of it. I want you to speak a little more about your integration as a violin player, but with dance. So would you like to
say something? Dance and music.
With,
Samba music.
yeah, we have been composing some dance music also. In Cleveland, Sri Sundaram sir requested us to compose a full-length dance drama, Natya Natakam, for the Cleveland Thyagaraja Aradhana, and the subject was Sambhashan Yuge Yuge. The first.
when did this happen? When was this?
This was in 2016. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the subject was the first 8 avatars in a thematic presentation called Sambhashan Yuge Yuge. So I wanted to share this because individually we have been composing, but coming together to compose for a dance drama was something we were not quite sure of. Because how can two people, two minds work on a song? Who will write the lyrics? Who will do the tuning? These were our apprehensions, but it all fell in place beautifully. That every single day we used to sit and we used to start composing, and Anna would suggest something, and the second line I would write. And we were in sync, totally in sync when we were in that creative space, and we were thinking alike. We were also putting our individuality in it, and the outcome was really beautiful, and it was very divine, I should say, because it came as a natural flow. So it was a divine, yeah.
Would you like to hum something which you have presented?
Oh, I can sing the Kautvam, which is a musical. This is in Varaha Avatara, where Varaha, the Bhumi, is under this is being put into a lot of turmoil, and they sing saying there's still hope. Don't lose hope. Bhuvaragan is going to come and protect us. So let us pray and be hopeful. வருவான் திருமாலும் நம்மை காக்க தளரா மனம் கொள்வோம். வருவான் திருமாலும் நம்மை காக்க தளரா
மனம் கொள்வோம். செவி கூசும் சொல்லுரைத்து பெரிதாய் சிரித்தான் இரண்யாட்சன். செவி கூசும் சொல்லுரைத்து பெரிதாய் சிரித்தான் இரண்யாட்சன். கோரப்பல் மாபலமுடன் பூமி காக்க வந்த வராகன். கோரப்பல் மாபலமுடன் பூமி காக்க வந்த வராகன். சிவந்தே அரக்கனை அழைத்து பூவராகனாய் பாலித்தான். சிவந்தே அரக்கனை அழைத்து பூவராகனாய் பாலித்தான். Then there is a passage. This is a small Kautvam.
Super. In fact, I want to tell the listeners that we have heard the name Baramulla. Where all these difficult things are happening in Kashmir.
Yeah.
But actually, that place is called Varahamula.
Oh. Wow.
That is where the Varaha Avatar actually happens.
Oh, really beautiful.
So this Baramulla is nothing but Varahamula, where the Kautvam that you just rendered must have Hiranyakashipu and all that actually happened there. And these are the places with a tremendous amount of sanctity. And it's a little unfortunate that our country has to undergo all these difficulties to reclaim those areas which actually is an integral part of our evolution, our civilization. So I just thought I'll mention it as an aside. But then coming back to the music, Lalgudi ji composed a lot of tillanas, which is today not only used by you, it is used by so many people.
Yeah.
So how did that journey happen, and why did he do that?
I mean, he was adept, or he was so passionate about laya and at the same time melody. He wanted to bring out the melody with an undercurrent of laya, intricate laya. The music will be very easy on the ears, whereas only when you dissect you will be able to find out the intricate laya patterns. He always felt that there were enough of kirtanams and kritis. That format of composition is aplenty in the Carnatic arena, and he wanted to concentrate on varnams and tillanas. Tillanas, he was always attracted by some lighter North Indian ragas also, which he beautifully incorporated into the system. For example, the Pahadi or Rageshri, those ragas, Vasanti, Madhuvanti, so those attracted him like anything, and he composed. And also many dancers approached him for requesting him to compose for them, and not only dancers, musicians like Sri Voleti Venkateshwara Garu or Sri Nedururi Krishnamurti Garu, and many musicians have requested him to compose. And the greatest in the Carnatic arena scene, the greatest acceptance is when the instrumentalist composes and it is sung by vocalist. That is the hierarchy here. So he got so much of acceptance and approval or appreciation, whatever you call it. MLB Amma, DKJ Raman sir, Voleti, and many stalwarts made it a point to sing his composition, whether he accompanied them in the concert or not.
Ganesh ji, I'll take this opportunity to just tell you that this book, which has all his creations, this new edition is going to be released next week. This has all his varnams and tillanas. And
Excellent.
yeah, this is the Lalgudi 90 edition that we are releasing next week.
Yeah, we have been working on it for the past 1 year, and there are some compositions which never have seen the day, light of the day.
Superb. So when it gets released, please do share the information with InSync TV.
Yeah.
We will try and put it on the television channel.
Definitely.
And anybody who would like to have a copy, because it's a very, very interesting work. In fact, I would like to equate this to Thyagaraja Swamigal's work. He did kritis with the notations. Now, Lalgudi sir did it with a little different kind of a music. In fact, this tempts me to start, my opening remarks, where I said that the Hindustani instrument playing styles had a lot of percussive element, because they had all this jod jala, and I'm sure as an evolved mind from Carnatic, when Lalgudi sir accompanied this Hindustani artist, he may have realized that there is nothing equivalent with us. We are just playing the kriti. But when it comes to just expanding a raga or an idea or a phrase, the Carnatic musicians are a little wanting on that front. So maybe this kind of instigated him to take some of those interesting ragas, and Tillana being basically percussive, basically laya oriented, it gave him a new kind of an opportunity to use those musical melodic phrases, but with an undercurrent of laya, and bring a new form, and which was used in dance. So he not only identified a need, he converted that identification of a need into a real product, and that product is now seeing its light of the day, not only through his music or through the stalwarts who sang those kritis, tilanas, but now the dance fraternity has taken, and they find it very interesting because it gives them again a new scope.
Yes.
The dance Bharatanatyam also takes the same kritis more or less, and since it is more visual, it is not just musical, it is more visual.
Yeah.
So you have three elements there. One is the melody, second is the percussive aspect, and third is the visual aspect.
Yes.
So to combine all these three aspects of the performing arts and then put it on the stage, and who can but Lalgudi sir imagine all this? And when he started, there would have been a lot of challenges in terms of acceptability, because normally the conservative Carnatic crowd does not accept anything new, and they want to remain within those four boundary walls, and they don't accept anything new. So when this must have happened, I think it is Lalgudi sir's that childish smile which must have won over all the hearts. And when he played this tilanas with excellent mridangists along with him, it would have stole the hearts. And without realizing, very similar to what happened to mandolin Srinivas.
Yeah.
Mandolin Srinivasan also, we would never accept a mandolin into Carnatic fraternity. It's a Western instrument. But then he won over the hearts. So very similarly, Lalgudi sir must have won the hearts. And now I'm very happy that you have collated all this and brought it to a book form so that the next generation can take a lot of advantage. Because music, there is no proprietary concept in music. I always tell people there is no IPRS. Because music, how many people have contributed to this music? Who can claim proprietary? Thyagaraja Swami did it for his own. He never imagined that all those kritis are going to be sung on the concert platform and people are going to sell tickets and going to make money. Certainly not. It was his outpourings on his heart. And it was a communication to God. He never thought this is a platform material. It was just a composition where he communicated his feelings, his ideas, his misery to God. But then that has got converted into kritis, and now we are being offered on the platform. So there is nothing proprietary, and I am very happy that you are offering this product of your father with the notations, I hope.
Yes.
With various ragas, and not necessarily the Carnatic ragas like you mentioned about Madhubanti and things like that, which are essentially handled in the Hindustani street.
Yes.
So it's a new package, a new thing, and I'm very happy that you're releasing it. And my best compliments to you. But do share this with the InSync TV so that we will make a little noise about it.
Definitely.
And maybe with a little voice from both of you explaining what it is, explaining Lalgudi sir's the background, because many people, the new generation, may not know.
Yes.
So we need to tell them what is this culmination of all these efforts into this book. So maybe you can do a little 2-minute or a 3-minute clip, and then we will be gladly play. Now, having said all this, I want to now spend a little 5 minutes on the future. Now, with this, I don't want to call it a pandemic and things like that, but it was a situation in our life where a lot of ideas have changed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, maybe we would not have looked at social media, or maybe we would have taken a much longer time to look at these kind of technological tools. And Carnatic music, by and large, is conservative, where the sense of dynamism sometimes is missing. We are quite happy with what is around us. And we are quite content. Absolutely. God has given, so let us enjoy life as He has provided. So why should I struggle more? But now there is a challenge. And this challenge has thrown a lot of new opportunities. Now these opportunities, whether they are good, whether they are bad, whether they are in the interest of good music or whether they are bad for good intrinsic music, is a challenge. Because today I find there is a huge crowd of YouTube clips, both by the highly accomplished musicians, but equally by the learning musicians, and you don't know what is right and what is wrong. So because there is no curative element, there is nobody to tell you that this is right and this is not so right. So there is an element of too much space and too much abandon and too much independence, which I think could be a little counterproductive to classical music. Because classical music, all said and done, still needs to retain its core fundamental values. Only then it becomes classical music. Otherwise, it will become musical music. So there is an element to, I don't want to say it has to be controlled, but there is an element of some accountability required in the social media. So how would you react to that? After one, you can say.
Actually, we go by the number of hits, number of views. If that were to be the only criteria, then it is a very dangerous criteria, I would say, because you have to have that conscience and accountability in you to give the right stuff and to make it enjoyable. And it should be enjoyable by a larger population. That must be the aim. But for that, you should never compromise. So that is the basic resolve that each musician has to take. Now everybody is willing to jam up with anybody else. That's one very good thing, and people are coming out to teach those gurus who would never have seen, who would never have taught outside the four walls of their house. Now the world is the limit. So those are some positives. But when we come to the quality of the music that is being served to the social media, each one should exercise a great deal of restraint, and each one should remember that we represent a great system. So each one is a representative of that great system. So in no way you should let down the system. If you take that resolve in you, everything will be fine, is my opinion.
The positive side I see is, as you mentioned, there's a lot of reach, global reach, and we are also able to pack it in nuggets, small, short duration. That is a positive side. But what I feel is music is becoming a more visual thing because of social media, where the visual is very attractive or something extraordinary in an outside landscape or in an exotic setting, which is when the music appeals. It should not be so. We are training our eyes to enjoy music than our ears. That is one scary part of it. But of course, we are all using the social media to reach out to the Rasikas. So that's a very positive thing.
My immediate reaction would be, apart from an organizer and heading certain big institutions concerned with classical music, I also run this television channel, and this is our challenge today. As a television channel, our medium is visual.
Yeah.
So while we need to present good music,
Yes.
but we also need to retain the viewership.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if there is a very dull looking stage with inadequate lights, and even if the music is good, the viewer might simply put it off. So there is a challenge. We have to convert the audio experience
Yes.
into also a visual experience. Yes. So it has to be audio visual. But I always tell my team which does the final work, I always tell them, if I want to attach 40% to the video, I need to attach 60% to the audio in terms of video.
Yes.
Because unless the audio is good, well, you don't need to play it on a classical music channel. You could play it in some other channel. Yeah. So when we run a classical music based channel, and today, for your information, we have become the world's largest platform for classical music.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
So having said that, like I take this from Krishnan ji, that you need to be accountable.
Yeah.
You need to be accountable because people expect you to present the right music.
Yes.
It is not good or bad music, it is right music.
Yeah.
So we are accountable. We must ensure that what we present not only captures the imagination of the viewers, but it should also be the right music, because you are trying to create a value system to the right music. So that value system you can't tinker with. You have to be very careful with that value system.
Yeah.
So yes, it is a challenge with the explosion of the social media. But I'm happy to tell you that InSync today is also available on the mobile app. So from any world, people can look at this music, and we also present everything. That is, we present Hindustani, Carnatic, Sufi, Ghazal, dance, New Age music. I was having a discussion with the top management of the Birla Group, and they asked me, "What is this New Age music?" And I said what Vijayalakshmi ji just said, that you convert the classical music, the heaviness of classical music, into a 5-minute nugget.
Yeah.
Because that's what you need to take.
Yeah.
So there is turning, there is a change happening. And in fact, when I interviewed Rajesh Mandolin, these are the things that is hitting you now. You need to also change your formats of presentation.
Correct.
The presentation remains right,
Yeah.
but when you present it to the new age, new generation, because the retention time is very short.
Yeah.
Gone are the days when somebody would sit for 5 hours for a kateri and elaborate Ragam Tanam Pallavi, and then post Ragam Tanam Pallavi, lot of tukras. All that days are gone. Today, 4 hours became 3 hours, 3 became 2.5, 2.5 became now 1.5. But today,
Just like T20.
just like T20, most of the institutions want to have, in fact, earlier we had one concert one evening, but now I find there are 3 concerts a evening. So slowly the space available to the performers to exhibit their talent is getting limited. So within that limited time, you have to express in a very serious way.
Yeah.
So all these challenges are there. And as an artist, as performing artist, sometimes you might get forgotten from the stream if you don't adapt.
Yes.
So why?
Very true.
Yeah, you need to show restraint, but we also need to adapt
Adapt.
to the changing situations. So this is an ongoing debate, and we will keep on, finding new solutions, new answers to the thing. But tell me, what is you like Bombay very much?
Vijay.
Now, why do you both of you like Bombay very much?
When I come to Bombay, I never want to miss the Puran Poli. Definitely, yeah, definitely. I'm waiting for that. Latika ji's Puran Poli. I would like to visit you. But of course, Bombay, the Rasikas, the audience, and the people, they are open to any innovative attempts that we make. They receive that very well, and they are also very receptive to traditional and the tradition heavy classical music also. So there's a beautiful cross section, which is what we love about Mumbai, and we love
all this, you are saying all this because of your husband?
Yeah, of course. That is my main connect with Mumbai. That my in-laws are from Bombay, my husband is from Mumbai.
The Siddhi Vinayak, the Mahalakshmi temple, the Pav Bhaji are also added attractions.
All 3 are the Siddhi Vinayak temple in the morning, followed by a visit to Mahalakshmi temple, followed by a Pav Bhaji in the evening.
And Puran Poli.
Puran Poli.
And Puran Poli in between, either during the lunch or the dinner, and it charges you for the next concert.
Yeah.
So Bombay is definitely a place. It's a kind of it's a pot. It's a boiling pot with a lot of cross ideas.
Yeah.
And ultimately find the solution. It finds a balance, and it gives you the best. So this aspect of the city, like I would rate Chennai as very conservative, always believing in certain things and not wanting to compromise on those things. Delhi, extreme, diametrically opposite, and Bombay is somewhere in between, where it is willing to accept ideas, it is willing to accept new experiments, and it is, but at the same time, unless it's a qualitative product, it will get forgotten.
Yeah.
So while you are innovating, you are discovering new spaces, but ultimately it has to retain the attention of the Rasika, and with the Sabha culture, with the Fine Arts Society, which we run, and Shanmukhananda Sabha. So we are able to retain that quality of the Rasika. Because it is equally important for an institution, like I have always been telling in many international seminars, ensuring that the creative minds have a good life is as important also as ensuring that there is a good Rasika base. Without a Rasika base, if you don't cultivate the Rasikas, the creative minds, who will listen to them? So you need, when the curtain opens and when you see 1,000 people in front of you, it propels you to give much better than what you would have otherwise done.
Yes.
So this challenge, when the curtain opens, the curtain is the kind of a thin line between the performer and the Rasika. And when that opens, now if you find empty seats, it will completely deprive you of all the charge that you had. So it is very important to cultivate a constant, from the younger generation. We have to tell them more about music. We have to demystify classical music. You have to take them into our fold, not just tell them, no, this is music and you have to listen to it. It doesn't work anymore. It worked maybe during our generation where we simply listened to the diktats of the elders. But today, a child needs a logical explanation and an answer. So when somebody asks me what is so great about classical music, like it happened some 15 days back in a gathering, what is so great about classical music? You spend 20 years and 25 years, and then you say that it is so great and so high. You have to respect it. Well, you have to touch your feet. I mean, why? So one has to give some kind of a logical explanation for all this, and then ensure that this rich tradition from our great country is not only nurtured, it is taken forward. It has been a big challenge for us to run this television channel because it's not a commercial product where we can earn money out of it. So for us, the first challenge was whether at all people would look at a channel which promotes just classical music. It was a big challenge. But then what propelled us forward was this viewership from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, because Indians have a basic connect. That connect could be sometimes confused with spirituality, but all said and done, there is a connect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good music is enjoyed right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. Yes. And the retention times are much higher. So it is now that the corporates are slowly waking up and realizing that yes, it is a good product and people are watching this, and we have just touched about 30 million viewers today, which is a very, very large number. Wow. So when I started, I never thought, when I was discussing with Mr. Seshasai of the Infosys chairman, Seshasai ji, this was about 5 years back when I was interviewing him as a corporate head. And he said, why are you wasting so much time on Carnatic music? Carnatic music has only 50,000 followers. It is the same 50,000 followers which hop from Naradagana Sabha to Music Academy to Ragasudha, what have you. So it is the same small number, which is not a commercial number.
Okay.
That intensity of that following for Carnatic music is so great, so unparalleled. Like today is Thyagaraja Aradhana. Where else in the world do all the musicians sit together, maybe thousands of them, and sing the same 5 kritis, the Pancharatna kritis, in unison? This is an absolute magic which does not happen anywhere in the world. So this great tradition of binding all of us together into a single thread is something that's magical, and I'm extremely happy that Carnatic music has got that tradition. Yes. And today, I'm extremely happy that I had an opportunity to speak to both of you, because in a normal concert tour, maybe you come home, have a Puran Poli, and then you have to catch a flight and go. One does not get the time to discuss, and in the to the accompaniment of all these Rasikas who are watching us on the show. So I think both of you have done fantastic work. Your father gave you a repository of creative wealth, and you have taken it forward. And I am wishing on behalf of all of us that you will go far ahead and internationally make a name for Carnatic music. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I just want to add, you leave no stone unturned to make classical music popular, be it fine arts or be it NCPA or be it InSync TV channel. It requires a great vision and also a great risk-taking ability to see to it that you win it. And you have been doing such a wonderful job. I want to congratulate you and the InSync team. Thank you for this.
Thank you so much. We really enjoyed this conversation, chat. Thank you.
And I'm able to do all the active support of people like you, the creative people like you. So let me remind you, the Tillana book, you would send the details And it's going to be a big thing, and hundreds of people in this country are going to watch it. Thank you very much. And
thank you, all the viewers who are joined in. Thank you.
yes, thank you.
Thank you.